Hello everybody. So on this video, what I wanted to talk about was our 1-year update. All right, slightly over a year since we bought them, and these guys are over a year old, obviously, because Blue here was 3 months old when we bought him. So he's 13 to 14 months old right now. And the girls here, well, they're not from our farm. And they will run each other over when they get spooked. She doesn't like to be touched as much. But 1-year update. So what happened? Okay, our pen fence grew. Our grass went away. Our watering station changed. We're putting up a new pen for shelter for them because they don't need as much area for shelter. Okay. Where we put some of their hay and grains is in here. That's working right now for the 3 birds that we have. But if we had more, we'd probably want to do a longer trough system. Very similar to this trough system over here. So originally we started with this when they were a little bit younger and before they started pecking down in the ground, and they started making a OSHA violation here, so to speak. And because that was just getting out of control and we keep kind of filling it in, they were still doing their board pecking right in this area. And so we stopped using this trough system at the moment, but we may do something like that different or more later on due to size. We fill up their water container here. We dump it every day or two to make sure that they're keeping clean, fresh water. They can be we put a little bit of vitamins in there for electrolytes and probiotics, and that helps with their gut system. You really need to make sure that they're getting it. Otherwise, they'll get sick on you, okay? Reason I dump that is everything that they're pecking on the ground, this isn't dirt, okay? And then they go to drink water and it builds in the bowl. We don't want any different germs, bacteria, diseases to grow in there. And to keep that down just from being a probable issue. So we just don't want the issue at all. Now over here, all right, Blue, come on, buddy. So over here, we have where we first started. Okay, this was day 1. They were in here. This was all opened up all the way down. We had cement. It's still over there. Cement all the way up to here, and we had this part into dirt and some bricks for different reasons. And this was their shelter. And it could still be, but we have a growing diversity of quail. And we're going to shut this, we're going to lock it, keep it separate from these guys in case there's a disease that ever goes through. It doesn't touch these guys. So what we did is we put in this here. We're going to be putting a roof on and just creating a shelter for them to go into. And that will allow them to keep out of the weather, storms, if they choose to. But if you've ever heard anything yet, at this age, they're just laying down in it, not in the shelter typically. That's how they are. So that will be their new shelter. And then we're going to open up that behind here. It's going to open up 200 feet, give or take, maybe 300 feet. And that's going to be where they can stretch their legs, where they can run. It keeps dry back there where we're going to have them. And so when they start to nest and having eggs, yeah, that's what we're looking forward to next year, then they will have a dry area to lay them in. Lord willing that it doesn't rain while they hatched them or why they've laid them on the ground. Okay, then we'll pick them up, put them in the incubator. But so on a 1-year update, we've revitalized some of the area that we started with, moving into a different structure over here. and we had a water bowl system. This wasn't their original water bowl system when they were smaller. This was working pretty good. As they're growing larger, they're drinking a lot more in the summer in the heat. And so what we've done is stopped using this, and we stopped using that as the feed trough, and of course went to that. The fence, now the fence started off right about down in here, okay? For their size, we did fairly well. We may have passed the timing that we wanted to when we raised the fence. We were more or less rolling the dice. So if you see previous videos and you're looking at stuff, just keep in mind that's not recommended. Okay, I don't want anyone else making a mistake. We're grateful enough not to have an issue, but we could have. So this fence, most of it's 6 foot, some of it's a little bit higher, and it lets them know that height. Not they won't. Some birds do try to jump over. Most of the time they won't. All right. So if you have something on the other side where it looks like they want to get to it, they may try to jump it. If they have something on the other side that's making them upset, they will try to charge it. So if your fence can't hold up from them charging it to something that's making them mad or hissing, then it's not going to be strong enough. Okay. 2,000 pounds of pressure kicking you can hurt, but imagine when they get up to speed and they're running. Not a whole lot can stop them. Okay. A few things will slow them down, but not a whole lot's going to stop them. I'm smirking. My wife fell into a trench of, well, like I said, that's not dirt. So we made these few different changes, and it's been working. So we're going to keep expanding out down this way. When we started with a handful number of more birds than what we have, and that was about 11. Those 11, in the first week or so, we had some die from impaction. We had some longer grass. It wasn't very long, okay? It was only about this long. But for a young bird, and some of them 3 months of age, actually younger than 3 months of age, that grass being that long was too much. And we didn't, all the research, everything we looked into, never said, hey, if it's this length, it's gonna kill them, okay? Now, if a stalk of something that was growing was big as your pinky, I was told by another farm, hey, make sure you don't have that stalk there. They can chew on, they'll peck that, choke, and die from infection from that. Okay, that made sense. I took any of those weeds out. They were gone. But some of that grass that we had in here and some of the sand we had in here caused them to die. Play sand. If they're not used to sand, if they're not used to that in their area from where they grow up in, if you raised them yourself, you know what they're used to, but if you didn't, play sand, we put it up as a dust bath area. Okay, quail, other birds use those things for dust baths. I should just take dust baths too. Play sand. Young birds have a little spot for them where they can do that. If it gets dirty, we'll change it out. No big deal, right? Yes, big deal. It caused a couple of our birds to die because where we got them from, yeah, there's sand and dirt down here. They're used to that. Okay, we took sand, dirt, same, doesn't matter what it is. We got them up here and they over-pecked on that sand because it was different. Something new and shiny, let's peck at it. About how smart they are. And so they kept pecking at it and caused impaction. Then the other ones that had a little bit too long of a grass caused impaction. As soon as they passed and we realized what was going on, that sand came out, those weeds came out, and we stopped a lot of other ones from passing away, and used a few other products when we thought we had some birds that had impaction. And we gave them some medicine. We gave them some light mineral oil and a few other things to help it pass. One of them we weren't able to help. Another one we got to help survive. So you can see like some of these weeds now though, they're 14 months old. They don't like the taste of these. They don't like these. They won't eat them. Okay? They're picky on what they pick at now. But some of these things that poke through, they don't like the taste. They don't want them. They won't eat them. Other things that they do like, they're not growing through the fence anymore. They do like them. So keep that in mind when you're setting up your ground. For us, dry lot, what people talked about with dry lots and mattings and different things, it's a whole nother video. But for us, for the year update, we started with a cement floor, thought we were doing really well. We had one area that was dirt, no big deal, sand, don't recommend it, okay? So keep your birds safe away from a play sand area, and you'll see it in our other video when we first started ostrich farming. So that I do not recommend. The fencing, having it taller, I do recommend starting it taller versus starting it halfway and then growing it up. If you have predators that can jump that fence, they're going to be at risk. We have them around here, but our dogs seem to keep them at bay where they've not entered into our yard. And we have tons of prey animals here. But with our dogs roaming around, we've not had them into our property yet. Okay, and I want to keep it that way. So, start your fence up higher. If you can, just go ahead and start it where it needs to be. For our dry lot, if we don't have as much property, so we're not able to rotate lots, where we take them from here to another pasture where they can grow, where they can chew on the ground there, and then, yeah, I know I said chew on the ground. People forgive me, I just say stuff, okay? Graze. Give me slack over that. But y'all know what I mean. Anyways, so then this would have grown back up. We could have moved them into another lot. They would have came back and had something to graze on. That wasn't an option for us, so they were going to chew down, graze what they have, and then we'd have to just feed them with what we can. A lot of people did alfalfa, and we've seen people using alfalfa, and then we read the properties of alfalfa through, my wife's probably got over 80 hours in straight of just research on feed analysis. And no, we're not willing to share that with anybody at the moment. And I'm gonna tell you why. It's because we're still learning and we're still thinking maybe some of the ill effects that we have with with one other bird, and with the birds that we have now, they're on this analysis that we've done. I can't promise you that it works really well. So far it seems like it has, and it's been a while. But if I tell you to do something, or if I were to suggest to do something that we haven't tested out to ourselves, I'd feel horrible for someone else losing their farm or their livelihood for misguided information, okay? So once we have that proven true and we know more about it, we'll put out a large disclaimer and we'll give you the information that we found to work for us and proven for us when it's proven. I'm not gonna sell that idea until I know it, okay? Ratatites though, ratatite feed that you find in that first 3 to 4 months, stick with it. It works. It grows. It's going to give them the energy. It's going to give them the minerals and everything that they need and the compound that they need it. And I've not heard of success from anyone else doing anything differently and having good success with it. And I'm on 3 or 4 different ratatite sites. Okay. But with alfalfa hay, people do give that. Timothy hay, some people do that as well. But the one site we read was no longer than 12 millimeters. Okay, and 12 millimeters is like this big, just so you know. Not very big. So that didn't make sense to us. We're like, okay, so we just cut it in half maybe a little bit. Be fine. Maybe 5, 6 months, that would have been fine to do some of those lengths about this big. But the hay typically comes this long before when it's cut and baled. And then we were cutting it down to here. Did okay. I still believe that maybe one of our birds died from just not having enough nutrition and enough rocks in his gizzard, and that was still too long. Now, most of ours is fine cut, about this big, okay? Even though that they're old enough, we're probably silver feeding them a little bit, silver spoon fed or whatever you want to call it. They're technically teenager, whatever you want to call it. They'd be fine? Yeah, sure. Are we going to put that risk in right now with what we... No, we're just not. We're already cutting up the hay for other reasons, for other animals, of how we mix their feed, their feed with their grain. We're not doing that for these guys. No need to. So we have a little bit of longer hay that we give them, smaller handfuls, but we don't give them the large amounts where others do. So they do get some longer pieces now, but the main part of their diet is alfalfa hay that we put in with some of the grains is smaller. And as they're eating that up with the rocks that they have, they do well. These guys have been doing really well. So on that update for 1 year later, talked about their fencing, talked about their coop change, that's changed. The longevity of moving back into there, which we're going to be doing, had a few animals pass away on us, and after doing the I can't say it correctly, necropsy on it, where we had to process them. And the star of the show, aren't you? So we've learned a lot about the come on, buddy. We've learned a lot about the birds, as far as their things that people don't talk about, that we'll put other videos on, their fecal matter down here, that you'll see what it should look like, what to watch out for, what it means to see different types of fecal matter, as far as how runny, how mushy, how much, why is it white? Why is it not white sometimes? People get concerned about that. Those are videos for another time. But that's some of the information that we've learned in the last year. So all in all, we had some sales, we've had some trades, we've bought a bird, we had some pass away, we've learned about traveling with them, we've learned on their lots and their fencing, and how big and how extravagant you really need a shelter for an older bird. Not very much. And it's been a big, long learning process. So if there's anything else that I can remember that I need to tell you guys, I'll put that in like maybe a second update video of, hey, this by the way as well. Kind of just doing this on the fly right now. But for the most part, our year has been interesting. It's been fun. It's been different. Your first year into doing this with the winter, and we had people that came up to us and said, "You have ostriches? You can't have them in the winter." We looked it up online. You know, they can't last in the winter cold. Well, thankfully, we've already done our research and we knew better. Otherwise, we might have turned around from it. But there's people that they read one article, and we've hopefully read thousands. Little by little, as we go along, we'll keep updating you. We have more videos coming up. This one will be in conjunction or next to the why we started ostrich farming. And from there, we'll tap into some other topics that people want to learn, understand, and know. But please leave a comment on what you're wanting to know, what you're wanting to learn, what you liked, and maybe what you didn't like about this video and other videos. That way we can learn from you guys, and you're the reason that we're doing this, okay? So if there's a specific topic and I get a bunch of people that want that topic, then I will drop any other videos or anything else that we're setting up and do that video for you guys, all right? So comment, like, share, and have a great time. And until then, we'll see you on the next flightless adventure.